we as Emiratis, we don't see like more expats coming in as jobs being taken away from us. If you're somewhere and they're not encouraging this environment of you coming up with new ideas, they're not comfortable with you getting there, or they just don't appreciate your input.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Fat Kid Show, जहाँ हम करेंगे गपशप एकदम ही अनफिल्टर्ड। अगर आपने अभी तक मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो प्लीज़ डू नॉट फॉरगेट टू सब्सक्राइब टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल, फॉलो मी ऑन स्पॉटिफाई, एप्पल पॉडकास्ट एंड अमेजॉन म्यूजिक। तो गाइस, यूएई में सेटल होने का ड्रीम बहुत सारे लोगों का होता है, पर हमें यहाँ पे यूएई के कल्चर के बारे में जानने के लिए एक लोकल की ज़रूरत है। तो इसीलिए मैंने अपने पॉडकास्ट पे बुलाया है मोहम्मद को। ही इज़ अ रियली गुड फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन एंड ही इज़ एमिराती। सो मोहम्मद, वेलकम टू माय फैट किड शो, जहाँ हम बहुत सारी गपशप करने वाले हैं।
Thank you for having me, Rishma. It's such a pleasure to be here. Or I thought you had to have me here because I'm Emirati, because there's like target quotas that you guys gotta have at least one Emirati on this show.
No, apart from that,
Emiratization.
Yeah, apart from that, the thing is, there's not a lot of people around, especially living in UAE now. We don't have a lot of Emirati around that we go and talk to, because of which we don't know what the culture actually is. But for instance, like I've been in Al Ain, so there I had a lot of Emirati friends, which really helped me understand what actual Emirati culture is. So it's great to have you on the show.
It's so great to be here, and you're kind of right about that. And but I think it's kind of changing, right? So I think when a lot of people they enter the country, you know, especially the first time as a tourist, they definitely meet one Emirati at the airport, like at the customs. But then sometimes, like, I mean, I see those people getting much friendlier as well. But back in the day, you could kind of have, like, you know, kind of someone that looks very intense, and people get intimidated. They like, इससे कुछ ज़्यादा बातें नहीं करते हैं, बस ये stamp करते passport हम निकलते हैं यहाँ से. But then I think that's kind of like changing, and Emiratis in general are becoming also just more like trying to get along with the other nationalities and learn from their culture. So it's a really give and take. And the progress that we've seen in the country is like kind of a testament of that, the number of nationalities that we have here. But really, like the fact that not enough of us are like showing our culture or really emphasizing on sharing it is really something we could do a little bit better on.
And this is why I called you, to educate my audience. And इसके पहले के सारे शौक हो जाए, yes, Mohammed knows Urdu and he can speak very well. So I think you were the perfect person as a guest for the show. Before we start anything, you were supposed to be at the military camp-based training. What happened?
Okay, so a little bit of context. Every Emirati male, after they graduate from high school, they have to do the military service. And this was introduced some like 10, 15 years ago. And I think, so right now is batch number 24. So they're doing 2 to 3 batches per year.
It's pretty new.
Still pretty new, yeah, but I didn't have to do it, luckily, because one of the reasons that you can get out of it is if you're the only son. Now, luckily or unluckily, they changed that law just last year. So now you have to do it even if you are the only son. You don't have to do it if you're the only child. So if you have sisters, you still have to do it. So a lot of the guys like me that were less than the age of 30, I think there was about 3,000 of them, had to go and do it. And they did one big batch just now, which I was supposed to be a part of also. So I went and did all of my tests. Like, you know, I told everybody at work that I wasn't going to be around. See you guys in a year. And I did all of my tests. I got ready to go to the military. I shaved my head, still going back. And I showed up the first day. It was a Sunday. I got to the camp and they told me, where's your military ID? And I was like, Emirates ID? Emirates ID, yeah, but military ID I don't have. And they're like, no, like, didn't you go and get a military ID photo taken? And I was like, no. So recall, just 2 weeks before that, we had those crazy storms, and I missed out one important detail where I had to go and get a photo taken and an ID made. So the officer at the camp told me, okay, you need to go back home, sleep, you get one more night of civilization, and you need to wake up in the morning, get your photo ID taken, and come back straight away. I woke up the next day, I went to get my photo taken, and they said, well, we've gotten orders not to make any new IDs. I was like, why?
Oh, right.
I'd set up my whole life for this experience now, and they're like, no, actually, because of those storms, the capacity is full. Yeah, so like some of the beds were damaged and destroyed from the storms, and now we can't accommodate you. So we'll see you next year. I was like, no guys, please take me.
You
Like,
literally had to pause your life for this, and then they said, come next year.
yeah, and then I had to go get a gym membership because like that was a free gym membership. That so here I am.
Yeah, here you are. So when do you have to go next now?
A whole year later.
Damn. What's
Yeah.
your plan before that?
See, so like my life is in a little bit of a dilemma now because I had some plans, you know, where I wanted to slowly transition out of the corporate world, and the military was this kind of hurdle that I had to pass through before I could do that. Because if you're employed when you attend the military, then you get paid your whole salary. So the law is that half of your salary would be paid by your employer and the other half will be paid by the Ministry of Defense. But if you're self-employed, then you get a very, very, very limited, I'm not sure exactly, but like 1,000 or 2,000, maybe 3,000 maximum as like a per diem for the month. Now, considering how far they tell you to go every day, that's just gas money,
Yeah.
right? So that would not be ideal, that if someone has to do it while they're not employed. That's why most of the people do it straight out of high school, unless you go to university abroad, then you do it right after university. So almost no employer will employ you if you haven't done it yet, unless you bring them certificates showing that you're the only son, like I had to do it previously, or that you show that you're exempt from it. So what do? I don't know. Like maybe I need to go back to work, or I need to find a new job. But I'll need to figure that out, or maybe just take a vacation. You know,
But
maybe.
But I know that you're working on your startup as well, right?
Yes,
You're
that's
working on
right.
an app. Do you want to talk about it?
Yes, I mean I haven't spoken about it publicly yet, but I think this is a great podcast to bring it up. So I'm working on a social concept. It's a social challenge concept called Mate, and the way that it works is it connects two users to meet in real life, and they connect online.
Wouldn't you compare that to Tinder?
Yeah, so that's the, you know, every time I start talking about it, everyone's like, that's a dating app. One more dating app? I don't think we need one more dating app. You know, we've got all the categories covered. Sort of a little bit, right? Except it's not. And it's not because on any of the other dating apps that I've come across, they focus on connecting you, and then you can, you know, start talking to the other person online. And then they're also, like, most dating apps are highly focused. Actually, social media in general is highly focused on appearance. Right? I mean, that's the first thing you see on dating app, and that's the main category of like what you're kind of filtering
That's your
through.
point of attraction. Basically.
Main point of attraction, right? On Mate, there are no photos.
Interesting.
And there is no chat.
Okay.
The only thing that users have to upload is their vibe. And their vibe is a 30-second voice note.
And you are able to do this because you stay in UAE. If it was India or elsewhere, I'm sure.
Oh, no way. Absolutely not, right?
It's because it's safe here.
Because it's so safe, and you can only meet in public places. So there's no Netflix and chill when it comes to Mate, right? So you connect, and you have to go to a restaurant or cafe. We vet across the cities in the UAE, across the Emirates, different venues for their ambiance, for the quality of the coffee, for like, so we're basically filtering through a really cool list of hangout spots where we think, okay, you can meet a new person here, and like the energy will support that, right? And then later on, we plan on even doing like kind of like blind podcasts. So like you connect with someone online and you go and do a podcast straight away.
That's a great idea.
And the reason that I'm doing this is, number one, you mentioned it, like the UAE and the Middle East in general is one of the safest places in the world. And you know the old saying, like, don't talk to strangers? That doesn't apply here.
Yes.
Because like, you know that the harassment regulations, safety regulations are so wonderful, and you know, safety is such a blessing that you only really realize it when it's not there.
Yeah.
And as it's there, you start taking it for granted. But you know, like the kind of things that are possible in Dubai are really at the edge of impossible. Like there's nowhere else where you can get, you know, fuel delivered to you. You know, I lost my phone the other day, and I was like, where's my phone? And then I remembered, oh, I left it charging at the barber shop. And I was at home, and I had to get somewhere later. And I was like, if I go back to the barber shop to take my phone and then go, I'm gonna, like, my whole day's ruined now. So I called a Kareem, and I was like, hey, can you go please pick up my phone? In 15 minutes, I went, got in the shower, came out, like still in my towel, and the guy like, ding dong, your phone's here, and gave me my phone. You know, these kind of things.
You know,
like,
as an expat, what happens is if I leave my phone anywhere, like just to book the table at a food court, back in India, I cannot do that. The moment I come, it'll be gone. But here, we use our phone just to book our tables at the food court.
Yeah.
We literally do that.
And we're not worried at all.
We're not worried at all.
Yeah.
We don't, even if you don't lock your house, you're okay with it. Because we are not worried. It's that safe.
One issue that does come out of that is that sometimes when you travel and you're
Oh,
in that
God.
like lax
No,
mindset and you kind of forget how cruel and evil the
Yes.
world outside is.
Yeah, you're in such a safe environment, but it spoils you to an extent that getting back into that zone of thinking about that the world is not a secure place, only your country is where you're living, is a different thing.
Yes, it's like when you travel, you kind of forget how safe it is over here, and something kind of bad needs to go on, so you have that like reality
check. Please take care of your wallet, your purse, your everything before you go.
Wait, everywhere is not like that? Like
Yeah. But for you, wasn't it like inbuilt in your system? Like me as an expat coming from India and then settling down here, for me this place was shocking when I moved. But for you, like growing up here and having this, so you are not as much exposed to the other countries and the lifestyle as much as, like, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point. But the thing is, my parents, they grew up in Pakistan. They spent their adult life early on there, and for them, it was embedded into them that safety and security precautions. They're very, especially my dad. My dad was a very principled person, but also a very cautious, very risk-averse person. So I remember so many I can hear my dad saying like, "Darwaza check karo," and I'd be like, "Dad, why? Like,
Yeah.
who's
gonna come in?
and what are they gonna take?" Like, but like it was just kind of like I think maybe it was the way that they grew up or the circumstances that they grew up when they were growing up in Pakistan. Even which was also very safe when they were growing up, but still not the way that it is here now. So it was like we had the tarbiyat and the practice of kind of always checking the door. Like I remember before going to bed, we'd go check the door, double lock. So I was raised in a more let's say cautious
More
environment,
Desi
environment.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, more
So
Desi.
I had that training, at home. But for a lot of other people, yeah, they grow up into it, and they're much more laxed when it comes to things like this. But keep in mind also, Rishma, like Dubai and the UAE has changed so much over those years. I mean, forget about from the moment I was born to now, but even the years that I was in university in Canada, I remember so I left in 2013 and I came back in 2017, and within those 4 years, I saw so much progress. Like not just on a infrastructure bridges level, where certain bridges or roads that I would see 1 year and then go for a semester and come back and the whole road has changed its whole structure.
Yes.
Right? And there's bridges and underpasses and all.
You just don't get out of the house for 3 months and you'll be like, "Ye building itni kab ban gayi?"
Exactly.
Literally that.
Like isko banaya kisne?
Ye kab thi?
So and then also on a more soft cultural level, there was such progress in terms of openness, acceptance, tolerance. So those values really grew just like I did when I was here. So it wasn't always like that, because keep in mind back in the 90s, there wasn't this huge spread of different populations. It was a majority of Indians, Pakistanis, Iranians, and they kind of brought their culture very strongly and mixed it with the one that was existing here. And you can see this very clearly in the kind of food that is considered Emirati. So we have a few things that are really Emirati, but we have a lot of things that are like karak and biryani and
But I
Iranian
think the local
kebabs.
Emirati food is also not as much known to the expats. Like if you say Emirati food doesn't mean that it's hummus and fatoush. It's not Emirati food in
Yes,
real. Yes.
it's
But
not.
this is why people think that this is the local cuisine. A lot of expats, especially if they come for tourism from India or Pakistan or elsewhere, they are not as much exposed to the Emirati culture and food.
Yes, I think it's also because the Emirati culture and food was keep in mind our progress and growth happened so quickly. We didn't have
Yes.
time to come up with the cuisine. We were just
Yes.
so we went from just let's just try to save for this day and the next day and try to have a ration, of whatever we can find, to like having every single culture's food at the very highest level here. So I think that's kind of like the Emirati cuisine in a way, right? It's like it's just the best cuisine from everywhere. Like you can find better Indian food here than in India sometimes. You can find better Iranian food or Lebanese food here than in those countries. Especially if those countries aren't doing so well financially or don't have the right incentives in place. So then the top people from those places are coming here and they're like, okay, we can make something much nicer. We can have the highest quality ingredients flying from all over the world. But when it comes back to like Emirati food, yeah, it's a combination of the different primary cultures that were living here, but it's also a few things that were just based on like zarwat and like it's like hey like what do we got? Okay, we got the Gulf. Okay, what's in there? We got oysters, we got shrimp, we got fish. So we was just trying to find so Emiratis, like a typical Emirati family would have fish every single day except for one day on the weekend, Friday usually, where they would have meat, and then chicken would be
How common is camel meat?
Not very common. It's more like a cultural experience more than like something that's being like kind of consumed on a regular basis. But I have heard it's healthy. I've tried it like once or twice, but
I have no idea about it. No comments.
Camel milk though. Camel milk is very, very nutrition filled and very good for your bones. Very good. Like it's got higher level of calcium and vitamin D than cow's milk. So yeah.
We got distracted. We got distracted from our topic. We were talking about your app, and then we got into UAE because everything is related. So, what are your plans for the app? Let us just close that topic first.
Yeah.
What are your plans? When are you launching? And what's the progress going right now?
Yeah, so we're currently in the final stages of development. We have a few partners that need to get onboarded in terms of these are strategic partners. So one of them, thank God, just last week we were able to lock it down. But a few more just to kind of set all the pieces in play. But I think it will be September, second week of September when we are going to go with a public launch. Inshallah, we should be having the beta testing starting from next month. I've got a team of 5 people that are working, 5 interns right now that are working with me full time. So it's really good to have that support. I'm so glad. Like I was almost crying. I remember the first day that I had my first team meeting, like in person, and we all went out for lunch.
It's overwhelming.
We had burgers, and I was like, this feels so nice. Like finally, I have like my own team, right? Being in the corporate world for almost 7.5 years, it was kind of one of those dreams that I really was working towards, and inshallah, like I'm able to be a good leader, a good manager.
You will be. I know you personally.
You'll be a great friend for them.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I wish you all the best for that. I'm super excited to see when it launches.
Thank you. You're invited. You're one of the beta first. So if you want to come and meet Reshma, for a coffee. She's awesome, and I'm sure you're gonna have a very cool vibe on the platform.
I'm excited to try. For sure, I'll be one of your beta users.
Yes. It'd be an honor to have you on the platform.
It'll be an honor. Just an inside joke, guys.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I've thought of that so many times. Like every time I go up on stage, it's an honor to be here.
And I just want to laugh and everything.
Yeah, and I try to like be a little smirky about it too. Just have my honor moment.
So more getting back, I want to understand that a lot of people from India still call me and say, "Arey, tere Dubai mein to bahut zyada restrictions hai." Whoever has not visited, okay, India is like vast. A lot of people are not exposed to UAE culture and UAE environment yet unless they visit, okay. So how will you define the progress of Emiratis, and how will you categorize Emiratis as? Like some people who are really orthodox and some are really progressive. How will you want to explain the audience about it?
So before I start talking about Emiratis, I want everyone listening to realize that we are a tribal system of people that only lived amongst ourselves. So we have a little bit of that ownness, right? And then all of a sudden, in the 70s, after the country was formed, thanks to His Highness Sheikh Zayed, may God bless his soul, we had this new rush of a new vision, a new strategy, a new plan in mind. And the first thing was this massive amounts of new people coming in. And if you take any society and you have a lot of outside people coming in, the first thing that happens is resistance, right? It's like, who are you? You know, like, why are you here in my house? Like, so that's a very human nature thing, right? But I think us as a people, very quickly, and because of our values and because of the way the culture is, culture and values, I mean, like the value of bringing guests into your home,
welcoming. You guys are very welcoming.
Like I'm going to speak a little bit later on about like the coffee. Yes. So, how you shouldn't, or I'll speak about it now, how you should not kind of give it all the way full. So we have small cups. They look kind of like shot glasses, but they're usually made out of ceramic. We call them finjan. And it's pretty tiny. Like it's not enough coffee, especially not for like what people in Dubai are used to. But the whole idea is that you never come for one, and the way that that's translated into the culture is that the finjan should always be served like almost, let's say, half or just a little more than half. And the idea behind that is because it's made of ceramic, it's hot, so you don't want to burn your fingers. You want to have a place like by the top where you can hold it pretty comfortably. You don't want it to fall. Secondly, you're never there for one. So if you drink that and you give it back to the person that was serving you, without asking you if you want another one, he will pour you another one. And then you drink that, he'll pour you a third one, and a fourth one, and a fifth one, and a 10th one. And it's kind of funny because some people don't know that, and they're, maybe non-confrontational, and they don't want to be rude, so they just keep drinking it and drinking it. But the trick is, and this is a cool kind of Easter egg, if you get a finjan and you give it back, if you don't want more, you have to shake it. So you have to say, no, I don't want more, because otherwise you're welcome to stay for as long as you like. And also another thing is that if they start serving you ones that are too full, it means it's time to go now. That's them telling you, hey,
giving you the
now it's like, yeah, because they want you to kind of drink more, like here's one last one, and like, bas ho gaya abhi. Darwaza one, haath mat jalana, like. But no, so back to like, the initial resistance, huge welcoming culture. Let's, bring people here. Let's provide them
and
with
also very considerate. That is what I think that Emiratis are. Very considerate whenever they treat expats in general, apart from being welcoming.
Yeah, and then we have that in our Islamic culture as well. The importance of like your attitude and behavior towards your neighbors. Treat other people the way you'd want to be treated.
I know this one instance that you cannot ask somebody who is coming to your house that why are you here. You cannot ask them.
No.
That's a big no-no.
Yeah, you can't ask them why are you here, and you can't ask them when are you gonna go. Yeah. And I think it's beautiful, because you create new moments with people, and similarly we have the majlis, which also is.
That is exactly what I was going to ask. Because of this, the concept of majlis is what arose, right?
Correct. Yes, and one of the things that was very important, like in the tribal system in the past, and it's been transitioned and like progressed into the modern majlis, is that it was a place for everyone to come and speak about their issues. So it's kind of like a public town hall, but sort of private, because you have like many small public town halls happening all around. Of course, there are some really big ones that big businessmen or even like the royal family would be hosting, and where people can so that the influential people could meet each other and talk about what's really going on. Keep in mind, this is before social media, this is before the internet, and it was a place for everyone to be listened to be heard, and for them to speak out and really, tell other people what's on their mind, find opportunities for collaboration, work on new projects together, and just, get to know each other.
But I think you guys still have the concept of majlis.
Absolutely.
Your gatherings are huge. And I am sure that I don't know what goes behind, like what talks do you have? I'm sure it's not a platform for collaboration anymore. But it's still
it is sometimes.
But it's still a place where you just connect to people. And it's home.
It's become sort of like a public hangout with the boys, right? So that's kind of the modern take on it. People have sometimes like they have games, they have board games, they watch football matches together. The main thing is that you want to come and bounce your energy off with other people, kind of be in
And this
the
is kind
in.
of fading in a lot of cultures, honestly.
Big time, because everyone is stuck to that black mirror that's on in their pocket. And that's one of the things also that I'm hoping to tackle with mates, right? So people growing up in this generation having record levels of depression, social anxiety, and I think one of the main reasons for that is the ridiculous increase in screen time. Yeah. And what because it's not just that it's bad for your eyes and your like dopamine receptors and all that fun stuff, but also that it's taking away from time that was spent playing outside, meeting new people, just being able to socialize. Also, one thing that I've been thinking so much about is it's such an easy distraction for yourself to get out of any uncomfortable or awkward social situation, right? You just like you're standing there, you're sitting there, and like you don't want to have you don't really want to have a conversation. It's like it's a safety net. Like you just like, oh, I have something important to do, and you're just like scrolling.
I'm just getting a call. Let me come back.
Yeah.
I can never come back.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're noticing now in this next generation of like kids that are growing up with this black mirror in their pocket is highest levels of depression and social anxiety, and one of the main reasons for that is the phone, right? Because all the time spent playing football or meeting new kids around the neighborhood.
It's easier to communicate over messages than talk in person sometimes because we are so addicted to the phone.
Yeah, and it's also so like the phenomenon of like internet trolls or like hating on people. It's so much easier to do that. It's so much easier to be negative behind that safety net than it is to be positive. Because when you meet someone, you're gonna think twice whether you're gonna talk or you're gonna say something rude. But there's no accountability, right? When you do it behind, and I think that we're seeing so many kids getting bullied in the digital era also, and that's a whole other issue, right? But one of the things that I aim to tackle with Mate is bring that back, right? Like, I know it's uncomfortable. Even just uploading a voice note that everybody is going to listen to is daunting. You're going to think 100 times, what should I say? I want to portray myself in the best way possible. Which is true, which is correct, which is what we've all been doing on social media. We've gotten so used to that. But it takes away from the realness, right? Like, okay, I'm going to just shut my eyes and just describe a quick sneak peek of me very quickly, right? Think about it. Try to do that in your mind right now. It's not easy because a person is such a complicated, like, arrangement of so many things. And it's hard to compress that all into one little bit. But I think step by step we can kind of take back like our social prowess in going up and being able to speak to anyone. And look, I was growing up as a very introverted kid. I got bullied big time when I was in school, and that had a huge take on my confidence. But I realized that it's a skill. You can develop it, and it's an extremely essential, important skill. I think if there's anything I would tell someone who's just getting started in the corporate world right now, or even in university, try and do as many things that put you on stage or in front of a big spotlight, and get used to being uncomfortable about that. Like it's not easy. Like even the people that are doing it professionally, they still get stage fright. They just know how to manage it. So it's completely okay to be very scared. It's hard to go up in front of people. But slowly, if you do it consistently and you can kind of, get past that fear, then...
It's important to try, I feel. That if you do it once, that's it. You know that you'll just get better and better. Even starting this podcast, you know how much I used to talk about starting a podcast. But it took me a lot of time to start. But now that I do, even if I'm not the best, I know I'm getting better and better with each episode. And it's a long journey. So yes, it is important. And honestly speaking, this has given me a confidence which is next level.
So true. You were already pretty confident.
No, I used to look down on me, right? Like I used to always think, will I be able to do this? Will I be able to succeed? But then this has given me a little of upper hand saying that, okay, I do this, I can do this. So
I remember even within the first week of meeting you, I was like, what is she doing here? She could be running a show somewhere. Like,
that's a little
so I'm
too much.
so proud of you that you took that leap.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that really helps, and I try to do this, is enjoy the process, right?
Yes.
You enjoy being a beginner. Like, oh my God, I'm so bad at this. Haha. Like,
Yeah.
you have to laugh at
Yes,
yourself a
yes,
little
for
bit.
sure.
And what that's going to end up doing also, by the way, quick thought just came to my mind. Have a look at the biggest YouTubers that are alive right now, the ones that have over 10 mil, the ones that have over 50 mil, and search for their first video.
Yes, I've done that. It's horrible. But at least I've got a starting point with having a team or having supportive friends like you. It gave me a better, like maybe 30% of my journey was because of people around me. So starting was a little difficult, of course, but yes, when you see the other YouTubers or other podcasters where they started, and then you feel, इसने तो यहाँ पे चालू किया था. I'm at least better than what they started.
Yeah, and I have all the knowledge and have all of the experience from them to kind of see, okay, what did they do right? What did they do wrong? How do I see myself doing this? And what is the concept that I want to do, which reflects me?
Correct.
So I think it's never a bad time to start a podcast. It's never a bad time to start. It's always a good time to start your digital.
But not just podcast, even at the corporate world, if you have an idea, speak up. Do not just sit there. Because you never know,
Absolutely.
that idea can become a successful one as well. But if you just keep it in your mind and not do, people will start pressurizing you and look down upon you. That's what people do honestly around.
Definitely, and take full ownership of it. I think that's one of the things. So like I mentioned, I studied in Canada, so I was there from 2013 to 2017. Once I came back, I mean, first of all, I came back and I was like, well, I'm an Emirati and I've studied abroad, I'm Canadian a little bit now, so I'm going to have no trouble finding a job and, I'm going to have like my pick. I'm going to have so many options and I'll just...
People are just going to call me when I come
Yes,
back.
and they're going to
I will have
stand
to do
up and
nothing.
salute me every time I show up, like, oh my God, thank you for coming in and saving the day. But that wasn't the case at all, right? I realized that, from 2010 to 2017, 18 that I was back, there was so many graduates that were coming from, Emirati graduates coming from all around the world that had studied in Australia and New Zealand and Europe and North America, even in South America, even in Japan. Like so many Emirati students love going to Japan. And I was amazed, and that amazement just continued to impress me, because when I joined my first role in the government, in the Department of Tourism, every Emirati was more mixed than me, and us mixed kids, we think other mixes are more cool than ours, and Emirati with almost every language, like every common language that's spoken. So we had in our office like at least 15 to 18 languages in total that people could speak, which was incredible, right? Because one of the things that even me, having grown up here, was worried about is, am I gonna move backwards culturally right now, like coming back from the West, or is it going to be moving forward? But very quickly I realized that the Dubai that I had left before I went was very different than the Dubai that I was coming back to. And that really changed, gave me a different lens to see the city, and then being in the government and looking at all of the cool projects that they're working on and how they wake up every day. So in the office at least in the team that I was, so we were doing consumer to consumer marketing, and that typically means two things. That means influencer and celebrity activations, and it means partnerships with some of our biggest digital partners. So these are your Googles, your YouTube, your TripAdvisor, Booking.com, and other big travel enterprises. And we would do special projects with them. So, we're doing a lot of, let's say, media buying or other, yearly contracts with them. But part of it would be okay, let's do something above and beyond that. And that was one of the most incredible experiences. I think it's definitely the best job I ever had. It was thanks to a lot of things, especially my boss at the time, Aida Saidi, and incredible leader, so inspiring. And also just the way that Dubai was moving to this place where they were like you said, you have an idea, come to us, show us how we could do it, and we're here. And the more crazy the idea is, the more they're willing to listen, and that's a good sign. So if you're somewhere and they're not encouraging this environment of you coming up with new ideas, or they're trying to shut you down, it's one of two things, right? Either you're stepping into somebody else's zone and they're not comfortable with you getting there, or they just don't appreciate your input. And in either case, you need to be very careful about, okay, now so I'm trying, because what ends up happening, and this, I experienced this in my second job. I'd come up with a new idea, I'd get shut down pretty quickly, and then I'd be discouraged. I was like, so, okay. And
why am I here?
Yeah, and then you know what that does? Like other than no job satisfaction, that also kills your own creativity, right? Because you're getting, you're putting yourself into this routine of being told no to your ideas, and that's not, I think, something that anyone should experience.
Yeah, we lost the topic again. We were talking about the kinds of Emirati, orthodox, and the progressive one. Do you want to spoil that?
Yeah, let's go back to that. So because of the huge exposure of different nationalities that started coming in quickly, and also the huge difference, tying it all back together. So, like I said, a lot of Emiratis also went out to study abroad and come back, and a lot of people from outside came to the UAE. So there's this double exposure of cultures, right? And what that ended up doing, and then of course there's some that just never went anywhere, like some Emiratis that, let's say, travel as minimum as possible or go to the same destinations, they want to do the same things, very much in their comfort zone, not really looking to get out of that. So what the way that I like to describe it is that it kind of created a split between Emiratis. So you have the very cultural, traditional, usually very religious Emiratis, and then you have these new, progressive, mostly usually studied abroad, usually less religious, but not necessarily. And these are the progressive Emiratis. And they have different characteristics, right? So the traditional ones are, they like to stay in their own circles, they wouldn't necessarily be very, they wouldn't be the person that would be going out to speak to you when they don't need to, right? So unless there isn't a requirement of conversation, they won't do it. And it's not because they're unapproachable or rude, they just don't see the need. And then there's the progressive ones that have traveled around, they love going on hikes, they love listening to
more
podcasts and TV shows, and they're really in with the culture, and if you play a rap song, they'll start singing with it. They're so ready to mingle with the expats, right?
Yes.
And because they really see the value, they feel that, okay, these people have left their home and they've come to make my home their home. So as much as they're bringing the good stuff from where they're coming from, let them take some of the good stuff from here too. So there's this exchange of goodness, of energies. And I think that's really one of the most beautiful things about this place. So this split of Emiratis, even though there isn't really a legitimate categorization of this, it's just a cultural trend that you see. And I believe that as we continue to have this modernization and progress, we're going to see more and more, and the next generation after that start coming in, we're going to see more and more progressive Emiratis, or we'll find some sort of a balance between the two. Because one of the things that's also scary is okay, are we going to lose our culture completely?
Yes.
How do we safeguard that? What are the values that are the most important? Because culture changes with time to just adapt to the new environment, but values have to remain intact. So it's really such a difficult job for the government overall to balance between those two, but I think they're doing an incredible job. One of the signs of that is there's certain areas, especially residential Emirati areas, where you will not find a hotel there, you will not find a bar there, you will not find people out at 2 a.m. there. So much so that if you're a resident of one of those places and you go out and live your life in Dubai, you will almost never encounter the 2 a.m. in Marina, because you will never be there. It's so far from you. It's it's a different world, right? And I think they've been able to do a really, really well consolidated kind of job to keep those worlds operating simultaneously. The club shuts at 3, but then azan goes up at 5:30.
Yes.
You know, and like balancing those two things is, I mean, I don't
And I
think they
think
get
that's
enough
beautiful.
credit for
Even,
that.
yes, even as an expat, I feel that's the most beautiful thing, that it's my choice which kind of lifestyle do I want to go ahead with, and I have everything over here. So that's one of the most beautiful thing about UAE and me as an expat living here. But you know, just one thing, that now since a lot of expats are coming, people around the world, they just want to come here and work. Has that created a negative impact on Emiratis living here in terms of job?
I don't think so. No, not at all. I think that it's really made us clean up our act more. It's made us really aspire and inspire us to continue going ahead. So let's take a circumstance where these expats didn't come in, right? Actually, let's go back to how the business environment kind of started off here. So I don't know if many people know now, but definitely 10 years ago and all the time before that, if you wanted to open a business, you needed a sponsor, right? So if, an Emirati that owns more than 50% of the company, your company, and I think that was one of the most brilliant things that they could have done, right? You as an expat coming in wants to do business here, you're getting kind of paired up. So to do business, you need to at least mingle enough to meet one person that you can build a trusting relationship with that will benefit when you benefit, right? Over time, that did end up, having circumstances where people were being sponsors just to receive a small, amount.
Fraction amount.
But even then, think about how much learning that is, right? You're gonna talk to the person, like business ka sa chal raha, like teach
There's a
me some
knowledge
stuff.
exchange.
There's a knowledge exchange as well. And they a couple of years ago, I believe it was right before the pandemic, they scrapped that.
Yes.
And I think that was also very timely, right? Because it's like, okay, we've built the base infrastructure, we've done the majority of the knowledge transfer. Our people now understand how things work, and they started focusing on Emiratization even more, right? Because they couldn't have just come in like from day one and said, okay, you can own the business, but you have to hire a very expensive Emirati that might not do anything, right? That's not a good business environment. Instead, they were like, look, we know
Learn,
there's
adapt, and then move on.
yes, and look, we know there's gonna be a lot of lazy people. There is a lot of lazy people, especially when they're given every thing that they need. Like we live in a world now where if you can give a man a PS5, internet connection, food 3 times, he'll have zero motivation to do anything, right? And if he has a TV, so, but how do you discourage that behavior while also giving your people enough comfort and a nurturing environment, and also still then have them be very ambitious? So it's a very difficult balance to have between that, right? So if there was less expats, I think there would be less companies, obviously, and there'd be less people, and there would be less jobs in general. So we as Emiratis, we don't see more expats coming in as jobs being taken away from us. We see it as just being
More progress.
more variety of different work that's going on, this big boom in AI and the UAE, and big boom in crypto, and the UAE having such a strong stand and making sure that we build ecosystems here so that our people could benefit. Now, if they didn't have that stand, we'd have less Emiratis in crypto, we'd have less Emiratis in AI. So they're trying to be...
It's a very symbiotic relationship between the expats and the Emiratis in general. We both
Absolutely.
are dependent on each other.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is really wonderful is that the expats as well are learning so much in terms of my life in Dubai is very different than my life back home, and the reason for that is because my life in Dubai is a mix of this new Emirati culture and what I'm bringing back. And I think one of the examples I want to use here is we're seeing such a huge number of people coming from Eastern Europe. And just the other day I saw that there was a Russian lady who passed away 2 days after converting to Islam. And they had sent out an announcement that, hey, this lady has no one. She moved here by herself. She was so touched by the culture and the way that we do things here, and she converted to Islam and then passed away 2 days later. Will anyone come to pray for her? And thousands of people went, right? And like it's beautiful to see people coming in from different religions and cultures, not necessarily converting. Like that's a very personal choice that every person should do whenever they or if they feel like they should. But at least taking in the values of respecting women, the values of not being rude to people, kindness. Those things I think the expats also benefit from when they come here, especially if they come from chaotic environments.
Mo, I just have one of the last questions. This is what a misconception people usually have, that Dubai is just about luxury. How do you look at it?
It's definitely not just about luxury, right? So it's the perfect playing field for someone who wants to live a luxurious life because it's so safe. Just the other day, I saw someone I'm guessing Eastern Europe, and they had a Rolls Royce that came just to pick up their bags, and then a sports car that they could drive in. Anywhere else in the world you do that, just think of how much unnecessary attention you're going to drive to yourself and how much that's going to put you in risk. So because of the safety environment, people know that they can spend on luxury goods and they're not going to get snatched away, or their life isn't going to be in danger, or they don't need to have security with them all the time. But it is also like, if you go towards Dera, towards Dubai, it's also become this beautiful home for all of these other people that are living very normal lives. And like let's take the example of someone working in an electronics store in Dera, right? Who moved here 20 years ago. Like, they might go back home when they want to retire so that they could be like closer to the extended family, but they've really built a home here. So I think it's a place that is so focused on attracting top talent in the most cutting edge industries. It's a platform for people that are ambitious, are hardworking, want to be in an environment where they want to follow the rules.
And also the best part is UAE does not care about which religion you are, which nationality you are, where you come from, how educated you are. It is a door for thousands of people, giving opportunity to everyone who wants to come in here.
The only question we ask here is, what value would you like to create for the people here? And I think that's the cornerstone of success in Dubai. Like, you have a crazy idea that wouldn't work anywhere else in the world, we will give you the easiest way to implement it. You can have a business license in a couple of days, you can apply for it online. Everything is digital, everything is electronic. UAE Pass gives you access to almost anything that you could have. It's like your gateway to your relationship with the government. In other countries, setting up a business, buying or selling property, it's become so difficult because they weren't able to because the right incentives weren't in place for them to just like keep making it better and better and better. And that's, I think, something that we're very proud of doing here. We're like, we want to do the best things and we want to do them in the best way. If it means it's luxury, then we want to do luxury in the best way. If it means it's chai karak, we want to do it in the best way. And your experience here, whether it's as a tourist or an expat, it really depends on what your expectations are. But whatever your expectations are, I think Dubai's got you covered.
I did my part of having an Emirati on my show. My Emiratization is complete. Thank you so much, Mo, aka Mohammed. Thank you so much. I think we have a lot more to talk to, and maybe next episode I'll surely love to invite you again.
It would be an honor. This was so fun, Reshma. Let's do it again.
Yes, it was an honor.
Okay, this time I wasn't even thinking about it.
No, but it's always in my mind. So yeah, thank you so much, Mo. Thank you so much for coming.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching this episode. If you really like this video, do not forget to like, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Spotify as well, Apple Podcast and Amazon Music. And I really hope कि आपको ये episode देख के मजा आया. अगर आपके दिमाग में कोई भी UAE के related सवाल है, तो please leave a comment down below so that next time when I call Mo, we have it all covered. Bye.